Hello, everybody. Hey, hello, everybody. Good to see you. Karen already asked a question. Started combining at the same time Neurovisor, Garnet, and Genius Insight Health apps, biofeedback, created codes, and clients love it. That's really cool. Yeah, I really like Neurovisor and the fact that it's like very entertaining. If there's a device that I can show my friends and family that automatically has like an entertainment factor to it, these stroboscopic light devices are very entertaining. I've tried Neurovisor, Roxiva. There's a couple of others on the market. Um, More so than BrainTap. BrainTap sort of just does flickering, whereas Neurovisor does all the patterns. And I don't know if you saw my recent video that I put out earlier this week, but I really wish that Neurovisor had more clinical trials. I know it's difficult to do as a wearable company, and I don't not recognize that fact. It's just that I feel like the bar has been raised when you look at like what V-Lite is doing. There's my Neuro Pro 2 Black. Been doing my meditation sessions in the morning with this at uh, elevated gamma frequencies. It's been very, very interesting. One of the things about Neurovisor is it's got a lot of light stimulation and it's got sound as well. And like the landscapes, the visual and auditory landscapes are beautiful. But if we're going to start talking about these wearables actually doing things like activating microtubules in your neurons to reassemble themselves and clear out toxic byproducts for Alzheimer's disease, that type of thing, there needs to be a lot more work done. And I'm really excited about the MIT studies that are being finished up, presumably by next summer, is what they said, where they'll have more evidence in humans. They've already shown in rats that the stroboscopic light stimulation will help clear out beta amyloid plaques, which are theorized to lead to the Alzheimer's symptoms. Hopefully, we'll have their phase 3 trial in the HOPE study finalized by next summer. I definitely want to get in contact with them to discuss Cognito, which would be their glasses that do the stroboscopic light stimulation. So the question is this like entertainment where you have a lot of psychedelic light patterns? And Garnet talks a lot about preventing habituation, which can happen in the brain. If you stimulate the brain at a one frequency, does it stop responding to it in the way that it had before because of habituation? Or do you create a bunch of different patterns so that it's unique and it keeps the brain engaged in a different way? Super Samuel, good to see you. How does light on Sensei compare to V-Light? Very good question. Got my Sensei right here. So if you look at the photobiomodulation sensors for V-Light, they are small. That doesn't mean that they're not effective. But if you look at the actual size of these things, it's almost like 5 millimeters or something like that. And so I tried to shine red light through the cadaver skull that I have with Sensei. And on their website, it says 300 milliwatts, which is a little bit less than V-Light. But in terms of just like surface area, I mean, if you think of like the amount of surface area that a small red light like this does in comparison to this big hockey puck, to me, it's really hard to compare the two in terms of like V-Light's just going to have a lot more spread out red light effect over different areas of your brain than Sensei. So I do appreciate the fact that they put the photobiomodulation into Sensei, and I think that it contributes to the overall stimulation. A lot of the effects from Sensei, I think, and this is my opinion after talking to their founders and using it for a while, there's a big neurofeedback component of it, right? That pushes your brain waves in a certain direction, but there's also binaural beats that help move your brain in a certain direction as well. So there's a lot going on with Sensei, and as I said in the Best Brain Devices 2026 video, one of my issues with Sensei is that they want you to do specific protocols, and that is fine as far as the average consumer using it at home to improve their brain. They want you to follow their protocols. And I can tell you that the protocols, there is somewhat of a state shift when you're using it, but it takes commitment to get through all their protocols. And they measure your reaction time with the reaction time testing with the ERPs, which are spikes in your brainwave activity when you're hitting left or right arrows on the box for the testing. It works really well from their standpoint, so that because they can have everybody go through their, I'm going to call it cookie cutter, just because that's not even the right term. Let's call it standardized, because it certainly isn't cookie cutter. There's nothing like it. They've done a great job in designing the protocols, evidence-based. But as you go through the protocols, the training protocols, you can't be very flexible or creative about it. And so what that does is it's very good for the company, because they can standardize the data collection and write white papers and publish those results on how their device was able to change the brains of the people that are using it. For me, from my standpoint, when I'm trying to investigate neurotechnology and employ different techniques like cold plunge or taking different nootropics and investigating how things like red light therapy change my brain, the problem with the Sensei platform is that they would not allow me to sort of break it apart. They wouldn't allow me to get under the hood as much as I wanted, because I would like to do the ERP reaction time testing before and after cold plunge, for example. But I had a lot of discussions with them, and they opted not to allow me to get under the hood of this thing and do that. I don't know if it's because they didn't want other people doing that, or they didn't want me to contaminate data or send the wrong message on YouTube. I mean, that might have been like the biggest thing, right? If people see me on YouTube being more creative with the Sensei device, other people are going to start asking for access, right, outside of the training protocols. And then they have got an issue on their hands where maybe I'm saying that they could do that. That's what they want to do. And then they get disappointed when they buy the device and are advised that they have to stay within the training protocols. So ultimately, it kind of comes down to preference, right? I mean, you've got Microsoft versus Apple. Are you going to keep everything pristine under lock and key like Apple does? Or are you going to open up more capabilities, more flexibility like Microsoft did, and license out the hardware and the software for people to be more creative with? Super Samuel, unlocked in 6 hours. Not sure what you mean there. Unlocked in 6 hours. You'd have to elaborate. But I wanted to do something a little different today. I wanted to take a look. I actually wanted to pull up Best Brain Devices 2026 here on my screen and sort of walk you guys through it and just talk about the experience of making this video, because I think it was I'm trying to share my my screen here. So making this video was different than previous years. I feel like previous years, it actually was more simple. I could sort of do one category like focus and recommend one device. I could do one category like meditation and recommend one device. And that worked pretty well, because I do think that a lot of people coming into this space have specific goals, whether that they want to improve their sleep or get better at meditation or improve their focus. But now there are so many companies, and not only that, but the devices are becoming multifunctional, right? If you look at V-Light, for example, you have settings that will help you get to sleep. You have settings that will help with meditation. You have settings that will help with focus. You've got the rise of focus trackers now. I mean, Neurable just totally muddied up the field too. And by muddy, what I mean is I'm very happy and excited that all these companies are coming out with all these products. This is like what I dreamt of for the last 10 years of running this channel, is that we would have this much activity, this much resources, this much neurotechnology devices to explore. But at the same time, it has made things really complicated, especially when it comes for me as like a content YouTube creator slash doctor, right? To make recommendations for people. Because as the years have gone on, I've woken up to the fact that I have a big responsibility to, not just talk about neurotechnology and brain devices with enthusiasm about, what's coming in the future, this rosy, bright white light, amazing future where we have these devices that can tell you all about your brain health, help you train your brain to be better, and also have different interventions that help things like focus, mood, sleep, and ultimately treat psychiatric disorders. I am a psychiatrist by training, and that was the ultimate goal, which was let's better define mental illness or mental health symptoms, because we're all on a spectrum ultimately, right? Just because you have anxiety doesn't mean you have an anxiety disorder, but if you have an anxiety disorder, you do have anxiety. And devices like this, Neurable, which they just announced their MW75 LTs, which is the lighter version of the ones that I'm holding in my hands. What's really cool about this is that you can just wear this at work now. I mean, if I just have this on in the office space or in a coffee shop, no one's going to understand that I'm actually tracking my brainwaves through these silver threaded EEG electrodes, these soft fiber ones that go into the earmuffs, ear pads. So with the introduction of focus trackers, now you've got neurofeedback devices that attempt to do that through blood flow. You've got meditation training devices like the Muse. You've got focus tracking devices like Neurable, and they're all adding their own training mechanisms along with the tracking. So things are getting very, very complicated when it comes to, if I have a person that comes to me like, hey, I want to improve my focus. I didn't want this live session for me to like just be griping about this amazing position that I'm in, but at the same time, I wanted to provide more context because, people have a right to their opinions. There's going to be some criticism online about what I'm recommending. Not only that, but like I actually feel bad about recommending some devices over others because I wanted to be such a champion of the space that I just am rooting for basically every company that is brave enough to take on brain tracking and neurotechnology and brain computer interface. But the landscape has become competitive enough to where there's going to be winners and losers in different categories. Like it's starting to get Darwinian. And I think that that's like a sign of like where this space is at and where it's come to, is that like, yes, the wearables, the brain wearables are going to have to start really putting their mark in the sand and, elbowing their way into the marketplace. And I think a good example of that is like Emotive is coming out with the MW20 earbuds that track your focus, whereas Neurable already has the headphones out. So they're like in direct competition with each other now. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens in 2026. And I did get in contact with Emotive, so I will be reviewing the MW20s here this year. Their new earbuds. I have the MN8s, which was the previous version from Emotive, but I can tell you that it was very much more of like a research grade kit that wasn't really ready for consumer prime time. But I'm thinking that the MW20s are going to be really snazzy, high quality hardware that is built on top of their software, which is great. Like if any of you that have used Emotive Pro, that software is really, really great. not only can you see the raw EEG in that program, but the proprietary metrics of excitement, engagement are very interesting. I've done some work with, I've tried to demonstrate it through neuromarketing videos where I was watching videos and you could see those different metrics doing their thing. I've even gone to conferences and demonstrated it. So I think that the MW20s from Emotive are going to be extremely interesting this year. And I'm really curious to see how they stack up to what Neurable has designed. Now, Neurable has been going more towards brain health, which I think is like a really, really good move, because I think for what's actually going to move the mark for neurotech products over the next couple of years is going to be brain health. I think that's where people need this technology to better define how well their brains are functioning from day to day and give us more information on if interventions helped or not. Daniel, have you seen any company offer an SDK for developers to plug neurological feedback and machine learning interface plug and play? Did you see any service that offers device plug and play machine learning out of the box? So as far as software development kits go, I have seen those for Muse, Neurable. Oh, sorry, Neurosity. Neurosity has one of the most. I worked with a developer last year because we were doing a project where I was attempting to send my thoughts to ChatGPT, and we found that the platform with the most approachable software development kit from a programmer standpoint was Neurosity. Neurosity has really positioned themselves and designed their software integration to where it's really approachable for programmers and engineers to build on top of their platform. And they have a whole GitHub repository that is really helpful. Muse also was something that we looked at, but they are optimizing their software development kit. And as far as I understand, the API still needs a little work. Now, I just got word from Neurable. With Neurable, the research kit is available, so you can get the raw EEG off Neurable, but they don't have their SDK out quite yet. I literally just got an email this morning from them saying that the SDK is going to be out in 2026. Now, as far as specific timing for that, I didn't have an answer for you, but I'd say right now most approachable is Neurosity, but I would say that Emotive and Neurable are going to be really close behind that in 26, offering software development kits. I don't know a lot about like machine learning plug and play. I don't know what that looks like because I'm not a software developer, but I can tell you the software development kits for those 3 devices are available now and coming soon. Clyde asks, what about using V-Lite Duo in conjunction with methylene blue? That's fine. There's not any contraindication to doing that. And if you're going for increased energy levels, that could be a strategy. I got a lot of criticism in my methylene blue video last year that I put out because I advised metabolically healthy people not to take methylene blue because I do feel like it has some low grade level serotonergic activity, which can interfere with reward centers in the brain. We now know that to get maximum reward, you actually need an increase in dopamine and a decrease in serotonin at the same time for reinforcement learning. So if you're like trying to be productive at work and you accomplish a task, how are you going to get, like, how much reinforcement are you going to get from that? You want a surge in dopamine, but also a decrease in serotonin. So the issue with SSRIs and methylene blue, which is a mild MAOI inhibitor, which is a precursor to antidepressant medications, is that they curb that activity of serotonin a little bit. So it's like the lesser of two evils. If you have a lot of energetic problems with the metabolism or energy of your body, there is evidence that methylene blue could improve energy production in the electron transport chain. And so that might be beneficial for certain people, but unless I feel like you had serious issues with energy, I probably wouldn't take methylene blue myself. I'm not taking it because I exercise, I eat well, I've got good energy levels, and I don't want that blunting, that serotonergic blunting from methylene blue. Now, that being said, if you suffer from low energy chronically, there's no contraindication to combining the V light red light therapy with methylene blue. I think that that's worthwhile trying if you have really low energy levels and you're stuck with like melancholic depression or dysthymia. Just make sure you don't take it along with an antidepressant because they could interact. Mitchell, Alex Hormozy, of course, he's legendary at this point. I actually saw him once 2 years ago at a YouTube conference. Why do you ask, Mitchell? What's up with Alex Hormozy? Okay, Clyde's not metabolically healthy, trying to get that way. Clyde, I mean, my main thing is like just make sure that you optimize your diet, your sleep, and your nutrition, because in my opinion, that's going to move the needle more than methylene blue. But I think ultimately methylene blue could potentially help. Like the evidence is still out on that, but that's where I'm at with methylene blue right now. Mitchell's just looking after me, making sure that I'm plugged into Alex Hormozy. Yeah, I literally had one of his books around here. I don't want to get too off topic because everybody's here to listen and learn about neurotech, but you know his Alex Hormozy's stuff on designing programs is really helpful, and I think he got a lot of that from Russell Brunson ClickFunnels. Russell Brunson is like the OG of designing programs, and like I've gotten more into that in recent years because I want to be a better coach. And in order to actually become a better coach, you actually need to learn some of this marketing stuff. I realized because a lot of what Russell Brunson teaches, and Alex teaches this quite a bit too, is like how do you create a framework for what you're trying to communicate to people. And so I had done a lot of training and learning about YouTube and how to make videos that have a strong hook and deliver value immediately so that people stick around for the videos and the algorithm shares it with more people. And ultimately, that's a good thing, right? That's like not even me trying to be a better marketer. That's me like actually making better content for the neurotech community and spreading the word about like what's happening with this amazing technology. But in my 5-week challenge, which our next one is starting December 4th. We've had several people already sign up for that one. So December 4th, we're starting the next. No, not December 4th. My apologies. December 1st through the 4th. Here, I'll pull up the landing page. So for those of you that are interested, we have the Sharper Everyday Challenge where you meet with me, video chat 5 days in a row. And, this is a 5-day challenge landing page. So I've got a new workbook, a PDF, where we actually like take a look at different protocols to use, mainly with Muse, but actually these meditation protocols do work somewhat with Mendy and Sensei, mainly with Muse though. So I'm trying to be more clear about that. Muse is like, if you haven't bought a device yet and you're thinking about doing my program, just get the Muse. You're gonna be best off doing that. So I got a new workbook PDF, and the next one starts on December 1st. And again, going back to like teaching frameworks, like Russell Brunson and Alex Hormozy teach this, take what you learned and create frameworks. And so this is actually like my attempt at like creating better frameworks for people to learn how to meditate and train with these neurotech devices. So, little plug there for the program. We're starting on the first, right after Thanksgiving here in the States. Training program, uh, video course module. So, I got those two programs mainly. And then also, we've started the Neuro Pioneer program for alumni, where we're going to do in person meetups. Like, if you want to meet me in person and hang out, I'm actually moving to San Diego to do this. Um, I've been in Las Vegas for the last 4.5 years. It's been great. Nice little tax haven to build up the online business. But the issue with Las Vegas is just like no biomedical community here. And I do appreciate the fact that I can go to the conferences like Consumer Electronics Show that now has a neurotech track and like basically meet everybody in the industry there in person, but it's only once a year. And I realized like, oh yeah, it's great that I'm in Vegas for CES, but like it's a couple of days of the year. I think I can do so much more in California from what I've seen. Like the talent pool is so much deeper. I'm going to be reaching out to UCSD and try to revisit my U.S. Navy ties there in Balboa. So that all that being said, like we're going to have a Neuro Pioneer program, which is like an annual program where we'll do in-person meetups and play around with neurotech devices. Mitchell, thanks, man. Appreciate you being here and supporting me. Like, really means a lot to me. Marketing and sales is all just about being a clear communicator and teacher. I couldn't agree more. And it increases the value that you're adding. Mitchell, you are so on point there. And that's really the point that I was trying to arrive at is like, after playing around with these devices for the last 15 years, I feel like I've built up a really nice knowledge set of like what works and how to use these in a certain way. But if I can't communicate that to you as an audience, either as a YouTuber, but more importantly, like as a coach during this 5-day program that we run every month, or in the 8-week intensive training where we do the quantitative EEG mind lift measurements with red light therapy training, like that knowledge is going to be lost if I can't communicate it in a right way and design the programs in a right way that require frameworks. Battle for your brain. Please give me advice on what has done to me. The government's implanted me with an advanced neurotech, entire nervous system. Battle for Your Brain. Did you read Nita Farahany's book, Battle for Your Brain? Clyde, any courses for V-Light? Thanks for the discount code, by the way. Courses for V-Light? So that's the 8-week. Like I designed my course. So the 5-day challenge does talk a lot about red light therapy and how we are integrating it into the 8-week program. So if you're curious and you want just like a primer, take my 5-day course. My 5-day challenge is starting on December 1st. But if you want to jump right into the 8-week training program where we're using either we can use any one of the models of the red light therapy device. And I was just writing the script today for red light therapy. Got the MIP 810, got the NeuroDuro 4, and got the NeuroPro 2. So I'm coming out with a video in the next couple of weeks on decision-making process behind that. But I did lay out quite a bit of it in the V-Light, so the red light therapy buyer's guide PDF that I wrote. If you go to the V-Light videos, especially the first 2 of them, it should be a link to that PDF. And if you have any like other questions about the courses, Clyde, just email me at hello@techforpsych.com or drcody@techforpsych.com or reply to the Dr. Cody replies. And by the way, sorry for all the emails over the last weekend. That was ridiculous. I was so mad at that software because I write all the emails myself, but then like they need to be dripped out, um, one a day just to remind people that there's going to be a a live YouTube session, and it sent all of them out twice, resulting in like 8 different emails in 10 minutes, spamming people. Marketing. I wish I could just hire someone to do all the marketing stuff so I could just do coaching and YouTube videos. But it's part of running a business, right? Any I'm gonna butcher your name. Sly Anover. I'm also interested in V-Light. Is it worth it? Ooh, good question. I mean, I'm biased. I think red light's worth it. I'm biased in the fact that I've been looking for interventional devices to use at home for brain health for like 15 years. And I talked about this in a recent video, but I really went from like taking a look at direct electrical stimulation to, low intensity PMF. And I haven't found anything that has as much evidence as red light therapy at this point. Like if you look at V-Light's website, published peer-reviewed studies, and they have a new peer-reviewed studies coming out looking at DTI MRI brain scans. Should be really exciting. They're seeing a lot of benefit as far as like some of the most exciting studies that they've had coming out have been with football players with repetitive head trauma. And they're showing that it really preserves their brain tissue as they like go through the season getting their head bashed. And I would never recommend to my kids to get into football, to be honest. I played hockey growing up and I got my head smashed around a decent amount. I think that I came out decently enough. And I think that competitive sports are good for kids. But at the same time, this repetitive head trauma in football, American football, I just don't think that it's good for your brain. There's so many studies coming out. I don't know why people are. I'm weird. I'm not that big of a sports guy anymore. I'm totally obsessed with neurotechnology and the exponential increase of technology with AI and what I'm doing here. So sports don't interest me as much as they used to, if at all. But I have two daughters, so I'm not too worried about them getting into like full contact football. But if I had sons, from all the data that I've seen, I wouldn't recommend that they get into football. So long story short, go take a look at the V-Light website or watch the videos that I've done and look at all the evidence that they've accumulated. And when you ask, like, is it worth it? I think part of what's missing there in terms of like me being able to answer that question is like, what's your pain point? Do you have like a family history of Alzheimer's, dementia, and you're scared to death of developing that and you don't have any other way to like do a daily practice that, could potentially prevent that from happening? I can't say that it actually does prevent it from happening for obvious legal reasons, but like if I personally was scared of developing dementia, I would do red light therapy because I don't see any other treatments out there that have as much evidence as red light therapy through V-Light and or don't have any side effects to speak of. You can't take any medications that are going to ward off Alzheimer's. We don't have anything that's FDA approved yet for anything like that. So, like, I think it's totally worth it. That being said, I'm not living paycheck to paycheck either. So, spending $2,400 for Neuro Duo 4 is doable for me if I'm worried about dementia and I use red light therapy every day on myself. If I'm struggling paycheck to paycheck, that might be a different story, right? Might have to make some sacrifices to make that happen. But even then, I think that your health, not only your health, your physical health, but your brain health has got to be top priority as you get into your 40s, 50s, and 60s and beyond. So, again, I'm biased. I'm a psychiatrist. I've seen the brain scans. I've seen people that have had memory loss. I've seen people that have impulse control issues because they've developed frontal temporal dementia. I've seen people that have strokes. I've seen the whole gambit. Head trauma, veterans coming back after getting blasted by IEDs in Iraq and Afghanistan and seeing what that did to their mental health. Nothing compares to having good mental health, in my opinion, but I'm biased. So So V-Light's the top red light therapy that you've seen so far. Yes, unequivocally. Like I've seen advertisements for others. I've used their main competitor, Neuronic, before. And Neuronic, I'm actually going to make a V-Light versus Neuronic video here very soon. But I actually took a spectrometer, which measures red light intensity, and put it up to the different sensors. And V-Light is like 10 times stronger than Neuronic. So I don't know how or why Neuronic is able to market that helmet the way that they are. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe someone from Neuronic is going to reach out to me and like fix my faulty perception of what's going on with that helmet. But as far as like collecting raw data and taking a look at it and like the subjective effects of using both devices, V-Light, way better, way better. I gave up on red light therapy because of Neuronic, because I had Neuronic. I had the Neuroradiant 1070. I'm looking down here because it's sitting down here. I guess I can grab it for you guys so you know what I'm talking about. All right, so I've had this thing for like 2.5 years, the Neuronic 1070. Okay. I actually busted it open to get access to the LEDs inside so that I can measure them with the spectrometer. So I got the helmet, I put it on, I stimulated my brain. I didn't feel anything. And then they were like, okay, you need to go get a quantitative EEG from some clinic in town. Let me see what's in Las Vegas. Go to this random clinic that's not affiliated with us, get your quantitative EEG. It's like, I don't have time to go do that just for this Neuronic configuration. I would have done it. Then I got busy. I just gave up on red light therapy. End of story. And then V-Light came along like a year and a half, 2 years later, and I used that device and I was like, I feel way different before and after I use this device. Look at all the evidence on their website. It was just a totally different experience. Clyde, maybe you can use it while cycling. Yeah, it looks like a bike helmet. And one of the other things about Neuronic, and I hate to say this, is that if you look online, you can find a lot of different, like it's obvious that they got this from like a Chinese manufacturer, which is nothing wrong with that as long as it's effective. But there's like 3 other companies that literally have the Neuronic helmet. It's like under a different brand. I can actually like pull that up for you guys. It's going to take too much time. I want to make sure I get to everybody else's questions, but take my word for it. You can find like different companies that are using the same hardware under a different brand. V-Light has a Vegas focus device. Tim Ferriss had an interview with Dr. Kevin Tracy on to speak about the vagus nerve, during which he said there's basically aren't any transcutaneous devices. Vagus nerve, transcutaneous devices. Are you talking about like direct electrical stimulation, Mitchell? Yeah, I don't like those direct electrical stimulation devices very much. They tend to make my neck muscles spasm. I keep saying I'm going to do this, but I'm so into the NeuroPro 2 right now, all the design that you can do. You can target different LEDs with the NeuroPro 2 and create your own custom protocols. I'm so into that I haven't had like much time to investigate the vagus nerve stimulator. V-Light vagus nerve stimulator, primarily what they talked about. Oh, TENS. Yeah, direct electrical stimulation, TENS. I'm glad you think so. Thank you. And I did talk about red light therapy quite a bit in this video. So it's talking about Muse versus Mendy. Mendy hasn't innovated their hardware for close to 4 years now. The software, they just have skins that make it look different. They still don't have a measurement software for me to do different blood flow measurements. And Muse literally included that in the first iteration of Muse Athena, where they now also have the same blood flow measurement, FNIRS measurement. So if you're Muse has so much more flexibility, third-party apps. There's just so much going on with that platform compared to Mendy now that I have a hard time recommending Mendy over Muse at this point. If you're thinking about training focus, I think that people often think that so Muse is marketed as training meditation, but I think of meditation training as a type of focus training too. If you're focused on your breath and meditation object, you're training your focus. You will build better focus from having a meditation practice. So I've been reading a lot about Buddhist tradition meditation protocols. There's this book called Right Concentration by Lee Brasington that was recommended to me at the I went to the V-Light conference in Toronto a couple of weeks ago. It was talking about meditation, and I'm going to make a new meditation episode here pretty soon, because the way that Lee Brasington describes the jhana, and there's some controversy about like how deep jhana need to be. I looked online and people claim that Lee Brasington's describing what's called light jhana, but it's definitely a roadmap towards developing a more expansive, deeper, richer meditation experience than just mindfulness training. But one of the things that he says in this book that, not to toot my own horn, but totally validates exactly what I've been saying about these neurofeedback devices all along, is that there's a moment where you first focus on your breath as the meditation object, and you get into what he calls right concentration. There's a phenomena that when you concentrate on the breath and become very present with the breath, there's a joyfulness that comes out of that. There's a mindful joyfulness just by being present. And if you can harness that joyfulness and transition your focus from paying attention to the breath to that joyous experience and use the joyous experience as your meditation object, it will actually start to compound itself. Joy becomes more joy, and it builds itself up into a euphoric feeling. Now, what I've said for years is that I noticed that when I trained with either Muse or Mendy, that if I do a 15-minute training session with either one of these neurofeedback devices where I'm paying attention to my breath and getting the neurofeedback, that afterwards, those meditation experiences are so much more rich, profound, and powerful than if I didn't do the neurofeedback training. I found the reason for that. It's because you try to transition too early, paying attention to your breath to joy as a meditation object, it won't have as powerful of an effect. So these devices really are training you to harness that mindfulness attention on your breath. And once you've done that, then you can transition to using joy as a meditation object. My gripe with both of these devices at this point is that when you use joy as a meditation object and get into first jhana has so much beta and gamma activity that it's going to make the Muse neurofeedback go haywire. So it works really good for relaxed attention on your breath when you're building up sort of this meditation piggy bank to go into first jhana. But once you're done with that, the device will not follow you into first jhana. Now, if I'm speaking a totally different language now, and I've lost half of you. I apologize for that, but I've had a lot of videos talking about meditation. I want to talk more about this because if we're going to start talking seriously about interacting with brain computer interface and neurotechnology devices, we need to incorporate meditation into that, in my opinion, because meditation is one of the most profound experiences I've ever had. I cannot believe that my brain can do what it does in meditation or that I can experience altered states like I have in meditation. And this needs to be talked about because I think that what neurotechnology is going to do is open a lot more people up to meditation, just like Muse has done. That was my meditation rant. You go up into euphoria and different energetic experiences called PD and first jhana, and you can stay there, but you probably only want to stay there like 5 minutes at tops because it's so intense. And then you go into second jhana where you focus more on contentment and gratitude. That's called sukha in the Pali Canon, which is the transcripts from like the original. I guess you call them prophets of Buddha. I don't think that they call them like that in the Buddhist tradition, but Mitchell Cody seems to specialize in pairing V-Light with Muse. Yes, I'd say that the 5-day challenge covers a lot more in terms of optimizing your biology, the latest in longevity medicine for your brain. Also, a letting go technique that I think is crucial for clearing up your mental CPU space for deeper meditation experiences. Highly based on the work of Dr. David Hawkins of Power versus Force and letting go. So there's a lot more to there's a lot more to the 5-day program than just pairing V-Light with Muse, but the 8-week program is all about pairing V-Light with Muse. But more specifically, not just with Muse, but with MindLift. So MindLift is the program that allows you to make quantitative EEG assessments with Muse. Please make more content on the details of what people have found with meditation. I will. With MindLift specifically, what we found is big jumps in beta and gamma. Historically and famously, some of these original excursions into Buddhist monk monasteries where they did the EEG studies, they saw those big bursts in gamma as well. And so to me, those are the jhana. Your brain is tapping into some energetic process that's causing a large surge in high frequency brainwaves. Is that a product or the cause of the elevated meditative experience? We're not sure. I can tell you that I was just at Society for Neuroscience conference this week. I was in San Diego, house hunting and getting all that set up. And I went to Society for Neuroscience, and the opening presidential address was all about this framework that they are moving towards, which is that the brain is this bioelectric organ, right? And that the way that it encodes information is not just in the patterns of neurons firing, but it's actually in the analog interactions of electromagnetic fields across different groups of neurons. So these neurons are firing and they're creating electromagnetic fields. And so in different areas of the brain, these electromagnetic fields are interacting with each other. And that's all information that's, leading to consciousness and cognition. I would argue that there's probably some kind of, quasi-spiritual element there where we're pulling intelligence and consciousness out of the vacuum of space. I think that it is permeated throughout the universe, that it finds different structures to enter into, and that the brain creates a framework for intelligence to enter into. But there's many different levels of intelligence. And by intelligence, I mean compute power, but also mean insight into physical reality. And I think that meditation helps you tap into that. I think that meditation allows you to shape your own brain electromagnetic architecture into a configuration that allows jhana and these other described meditation experiences to enter in to your nervous system. And it creates all kinds of movement, energetic feeling, joy, rapture, contentment, and then ultimately insights into reality itself. And that's where I've gotten to in my practice, is that I can get through jhana 1 through 3, which is I go into euphoria and bliss in jhana 1. Then after a few minutes there, I come. So the prelude to that is concentration on the breath. That's what we talked about. What Muse and Mendy are really good at setting up. And then after that, you go into jhana 1, which we're having trouble having Muse track that. And I think in the near future, they're going to have AI algorithms that will help. We will have AI algorithms that will make the neurofeedback more flexible. So you'll be able to go from relaxed mindfulness attention neurofeedback to first jhana neurofeedback. Like that's going to be a thing. So I'm hoping that we can get more people into first jhana. And that's what I'm doing in my 8-week program, is trying to get my clients into first jhana, because very few of the people that I've met and interacted with over the years can get past that initial mindfulness training stage. What I want to do is get more people into first jhana so they can experience that euphoria and bliss. And what happens is when you experience that the first time, you want to keep coming back for more. Like it truly makes you addicted to meditation. I feel so weird if I don't get my meditation session in first thing in the morning. Like I'm missing like a key part. Like I'm missing something that's become a key part of me, because when you access that euphoric, joyous energy through meditation, it sticks with you through the whole day. Like I can feel it right now. Like I'm excited to be talking about this stuff because I can feel it flowing through me right now. And it flows better if you've opened up those pathways during that day. The more that you practice it, the more that it will flow through you. And so I want to get more people into first jhana, and we've been experimenting with the NeuroPro 2 and gamma frequencies with the red light therapy. And that's what V-Light's research has shown, is that the higher that you ramp up the red light therapy stimulation frequency, the more likely it is that you get people to experience these transcendent experiences. So I'm working on that. And of course, it takes more than just red light therapy to push people over the edge. You need like a good framework and understanding of the meditation process to experience this. But then the point that I was getting to is that past jhana 3, you're supposed to let go of everything. So you no longer can use joy as meditation object. You can no longer use the feeling of contentment as a meditation object. And by meditation object, it's like what you're focusing on. You're like experiencing the configuration and clarity of that emotion. Like what is, if I was to sit here and just for myself characterize what contentment feels like, and peace and equanimity, there's a certain feeling that goes with that. Like if, for those of you that have ever done like cold plunge or like run long distance, it's kind of like that. Your mind is clear. You just feel everything's okay. I've done enough for today. Like I'm at peace. Like I know I've done everything today to make myself a better person. Now's the time for rest and peace. So that's how I describe it. But like once you get to jhana 4, you're supposed to let go of all that and just be totally present. And in that state, your boundary between you and external reality starts to dissolve. And that's where you get, you're supposed to merge into your surroundings, like the space around you. And it's what I've been struggling with is like, it's such an unsettling feeling. Like you have to let your ego and your personality and like your sense of self just go to like merge into your surrounding environment and the universe basically. And so my mind is like, I'm trying to get there more and more so that I can get more and more exposure to it so that it's not such a big deal. But I almost like recoil in fear. I'm like, my God, I'm in dissolving into the universe. It's a little intense. And then what happens is like that intensity then kicks me back up into the previous jhanas because you can move back and forth between them. So if I'm dissolving into the universe and I get that fear that picks up, then my attention goes to the fear, and the fear kind of pushes me back up into joy and euphoria because it's like a very visceral feeling. So that's my current meditation challenge. I want to get to the point where you're in jhana 4 and you become so merged into the nothingness and the vacuum of space that you start to have supposedly better insights to the nature of reality itself. And that's where a lot of the wisdom of the Buddha and his disciples came from, is that they are able to see reality for what it truly is. And apparently words do not help describe this, but ultimately what I think that it does is help you make better decisions in your daily life, have more empathy towards other people and other living creatures, but also don't get bothered by things as much because you understand that everything in the here and now, that we see all this material stuff, this microphone, sorry, that probably hit your audio there, but all this stuff in front of me is just like this material that ultimately does not shape who I am or the nature of the universe itself, and that like I'm a bigger person because of that. And just to drive that home, like I think that neurotechnology like Muzamendi are great initiators towards that practice of right concentration, where they're training you to pay attention to your breath and not allow your mind to wander. And once you've developed that skill set through these meditation devices, you can take that to the meditation objects like joy and contentment that lead you further down the path and to experience more advanced jhanas in this Buddhist practice. So teaching all that, and it's been a wild ride, very fun. I think that a lot of people are getting value out of the programs, and I really didn't get to the rest of this video, but that's okay. I'm glad that we kept it open-ended, and along with what you guys are interested in. So it sounds like there's a good amount of interest in meditation with this group. So I'm seeing like the viewer count go up as I talk about it. So maybe actually, I think what I'll do next time, the next live, and I'm making a mental note now, is that our live in December will all be about meditation, because by then I will have my new meditation episode written up and filmed, and I'll be better organized for talking about meditation with neurotech devices, and where meditation can take you with the red light therapy devices. I think is super interesting, and it's been really, really rewarding to be working with people one-on-one to help enhance their meditation practice, both from the brain mapping, the MindLift brain mapping, and the red light therapy, and the neurofeedback training that goes along with that. So we do kind of a combination of all three. But if you just want like an intro, check out the 5-day course that starts. Last question, Mitchell, how much faster do you think people are able to develop their focus and use Athena? Oh, again, I'm biased, but I think there's an immediate improvement, just because when you have that feedback mechanism of your mind has wandered, you recognize it a lot quicker than when you don't have a neurofeedback device. So I think that there's an initial burst of learning in the learning curve, and then it might trail off a little bit. But I, even at this stage of my meditation practice, which I've been doing for 15 years, still enjoy doing neurofeedback with the doing meditation training with the neurofeedback devices, because not only can I hone my access concentration in the early stage with the neurofeedback, but I also can track the later stages using programs like Mind Monitor, which tracks the raw EEG from the Muse headband. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted Muse to add like a free tracker outside of the neurofeedback exercise, because I'm like, there are things that are going on that don't lend themselves to traditional neurofeedback in meditation. So let's see what the blood flow does for that. No luck there, but as this tech comes along, we're going to have better and better tools to track these meditation experiences. Arun Sharma, can you expand that and reflect on those people that you've treated with dementia with red light therapy improvement? Um, I can't make any claims when it comes to treating dementia with red light therapy. All I can say is that I've had clients that are worried that they're slipping into mild cognitive impairment. Because I mean, someone with Alzheimer's dementia isn't going to buy my program, right? Often they're too far gone to even have the cognitive capacity to purchase the program. And because I'm doing, well, I'll just keep it at that. But I will say that the clients that have had concerns of mild cognitive impairment feel like it's helping over the long term. And program's been running for about 9 months now. So I've had people using it throughout that time period, and they're still using it because they do feel like it helps. Like their memory's a little sharper. They feel like they're getting better rest at night. They feel clearer. They can focus better. So I will wait to make any bold claims about actually treating Alzheimer's dementia with red light therapy. We need more work to come out. But again, as I stated at the beginning of this stream, that if I had concerns about developing dementia and I had signs of mild cognitive impairment, I would be training my own brain with red light therapy. And that's what I'm doing right now, anyways, to improve my performance from day to day. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks everybody for tuning in. That's the end of the hour. And if you are interested in the programs, reach out to me, and I hope to see you there. So take care, and hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving if you're in the States. And we got the other holidays coming up here. So hope you have some good time with your families, and really appreciate your support. So I'll see you next time.